This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I think we're about ready to get started, maybe a few minutes early, just because it looks like we've got a lot of things to do. So if you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We do have a quorum present. We have two members, Nathan Cowan and Jim Smith are not here, but all other Planning Commission members are present. Microphone reminder as usual, and it's even more important this evening because the minutes will have to be made from the recording. So please be sure that your microphone is on anytime you speak. We do need to adopt the agenda. Take a quick look and see if we need to make any changes or additions.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we accept as submitted.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the agenda as submitted. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. As always, we will start with any general public comment if anyone has something they want to bring up. If not, moving on to the new business, we need to adopt the minutes from the March 19th, 2025 meeting. Take a quick look through those.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the minutes as presented.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Very good. All right, moving on to the public hearings. As always, we will introduce each case. Mr. Nichols will provide any additional information or answer questions. The applicant will have a chance to address the Planning Commission as well, Following that, if there are any public comments on each case, we will have time for that. All right, the first case is case number SU-02-25-1, Two Rivers Special Use Permit Application. Carrie Gaviria has applied for a special use permit to operate a primitive campground on a 48.347 acre parcel known as Madison County Tax Map 40-95A. The parcel is zoned A1. The parcel currently contains a residence that is being utilized as a short-term rental and campsites that meet the definition of Madison zoning ordinance Article 20-31. Mr. Nichols, anything to add there?
Nothing significant, Mr. Chairman. All of the changes were addressed in the previous workshop. I've reviewed the comprehensive plan against this application, and it seems to be in line with our goals and strategies.
Thank you. Any Planning Commission members have a question for Mr. Nichols? All right. If not, Ms. Gaviria, would you like to address the Planning Commission or answer any questions? Okay. Okay, anything you would like to add to begin with, or?
No, not to add. I just wanted to say that my son is here to be able to learn a little bit about this progress, or the program, so thank you for allowing him to attend.
So I understand he's going to be a campsite manager.
That's right.
Okay. Mr. Gaviria, would you identify yourself, please? And
Go on.
My name is Riker Gaviria.
all right, thank you, Riker. What do you think you'll learn by helping your parents run a hip camp?
Responsibility and keeping things clean.
That's important. What kind of things do you think you'll do around the hip camp to help out?
Pick up large sticks and pick up the trash and change out the firewood.
Thank you. What do you think would make the hip camp a special place for visitors?
It has a big open field. If they had pets or any kids that like to play, there's a big river. There's lots of hiking you could do. There's a good view. You could explore.
Thank you, sir. Very nice. All right, does any Planning Commission member have a question for Ms. Gaviria?
I have one more for Riker, if you don't mind. What's your favorite part of running the campground?
Playing in the river.
Playing the,
Not working.
they are paying you, aren't they?
Answer that. That's a good question.
Yeah.
How?
For doing chores like keeping the thing clean.
That's pretty
College
good.
fund.
There we go.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you. Whoops.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I think this follows everything that Mr. Nichols outlined in the comp plan is honestly the big future for Madison County. So I recommend that we move case number SU-02-25-1 to the Board of Supervisors.
All right, let's hold on that and see if we have any public comment.
Public comment, I'm
first.
sorry. Apologies.
Thank
I'm
you.
that excited.
Ready to go. Any public comment on this case? Yes, sir, if you would identify yourself and go from there.
Yeah, I'm Joel Marks, and I believe we abut your property. And I guess the questions that I have are, what about noise abatement? You know, we want to make sure, it's rural, we want to, the quietness of it. Are we going to end up with a rifle range next to us? And what's going to be done about, maintaining property lines and so forth.
If you would, please address comments to the planning commission.
I'm sorry.
and not in the form of questions that so much as just make statements.
Okay, well, where we're living, we moved into a rural area. That's a concern. We wanted quietness. We've got some animals. Our concern is we're going to have a lot of shooting on the property, noise abatement in the evening, and maintaining the perimeter of our property. We want to make sure we don't have people wandering around, maybe they've been drinking. So that's a concern that we have.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment on this case? Any other public comment on this case? All right. Would you like to make your motion again? then?
Any responses to that? Do I need to pause for comment, or are we good? I'll resubmit then the motion that we move case number SU-02-25-01 to the Board of Supervisors for vote, for approval.
All right, motion's been made
Second.
and seconded that we recommend case number SU-02-25-1 for approval to the Board of Supervisors. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next case is case number SU-02-25-2, Black Cat Antiques. This is a special use permit application. Carrie Angie Brown has applied for a special use permit to operate an antique craft and gift shop in accordance with Madison County zoning ordinance 3-2-5 and an auction establishment in accordance with Madison County zoning ordinance 4-2-23 for a 36.77 acre parcel known as Madison County Tax Map 45-21. The parcel is zoned A1 agricultural. Anything further, Mr. Nichols?
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman. I believe that we ironed out the details of this one in the last workshop. I will point out that the draft of conditions is in your information packet, which essentially just limits the auction portion of the application to online format only, so no live auctions on the location. Beyond that, everything is in order as we discussed in the previous workshop. When reviewed against the comprehensive plan, this certainly is within line of our goals and strategies.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm going to excuse myself from this case because I have the same type of business.
Yes, thank you, sir. Okay, I see you've got your amended application here. Possible future plans include online auctions, customer pick-out spread out over several days to keep traffic flow within our minimum range. I think we also had established that there was more than sufficient parking for any business here.
Yes, there was certainly a surplus of parking.
Okay. Any question for Mr. Nichols? Okay, is the applicant present? Would you like to address the planning commission?
I didn't really have anything to add unless you had questions.
Just identify yourself and
Angie
we'll go
Brown.
from there. Okay. All right, do we have any questions then for the applicant? Okay. And for those of you who may not be very often, here very often, these cases have had 2 workshops already, so it sounds like we're moving fairly quickly, but that's because we've already asked lots of questions. Any further questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
also
sir.
point of privilege, just to coattail on your comments, sir, if I may, just for the public who may not be here often. So part of the formal process, the planning commission is going to hear each case. They're going to make a decision on recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. The decision is held by the Board of Supervisors, so I know it's anxious to leave once your case is heard by the planning commission, but please stick around because your case will still need to be heard by the board of supervisors. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. All right, any questions for the applicant? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Any public comment on this case? Any public comment on this case? All right, thank you. Any discussion, further discussion on this? Can we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that case number SU-02-25-2 be recommended to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to recommend to the Board of Supervisors for approval, case number SU-02-25-2. Any further discussion? If
Mr.
not-
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Dan.
And there were no modifications made, so I'm just making sure we're all clear that that was a recommendation for approval with the conditions as outlined in the packet. Is that right?
All right. Recommended for approval with the additional condition that was discussed regarding the online auction. Any further discussion?
Is that right? Okay, just confirming.
All right, in that case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes,
may
sir.
interrupt, I've got Mr. Snyder as making the motion. Who was the second?
Second.
Thank you, sir.
And again, that's why it's so important that you have your mics on when you say something, because Mr. Nichols is going to have to make the minutes from the recording. All right, the case number RZ-02-25-2, AC Limited Partnership, a rezoning application. Carrie Brown has applied on behalf of AC Limited Partnership to rezone a 2.136 acre parcel known as Madison County Tax Map 55-38B from A1 agricultural to B1 business. No project is currently planned for the parcel. Anything to add there, Mr. Nichols?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We did have one piece of public feedback for this one. We had one of the adjoining property owners call and inquire about the application. And when it was described what the applicant was trying to do, his comment was, if I owned it, I would do the same thing. So essentially, we have not had any negative public comments on this one. And given that the property has frontage along Highway 29, it does align well with our comprehensive plan and the Highway 29 corridor study.
Okay, thank you. Does any planning commission member have a question for Mr. Nichols? If not, is the applicant present?
Applicant is online, Mr. Chairman.
Online? Okay. Do we have anything from her?
Here.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Okay, no questions. All right, thank you for attending. Any public comment on this case? Any public comment? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I make
Yes,
a
sir.
motion that case number RZ-02-25-2 be recommended to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so case number RZ-02-25-2 will be recommended to the Board of Supervisors for approval. All right, next case is case number SD-02-25-1, subdivision of Madison County Tax Map 42-33. Walter Samsel has applied on behalf of Mark A. Morstein to subdivide the parcel identified as Madison County Tax Map 42-33. The parcel is currently 28.947 acres and is proposed to be divided to create 3 new parcels plus the residual. Anything to add there, Mr. Nichols?
The only thing to add on this application is that I have not yet received the Health Department approval. This is not uncommon that the Health Department is the last agency to provide us comments. Should the Planning Commission choose to recommend approval, I would advise that they do so subject to the attainment of Health Department approval in accordance with our subdivision ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Nichols? Okay, and I see we do have a road maintenance agreement in place as part of this.
It'll be filed along with the plats.
Okay. Any questions at all? Okay, is the applicant here? Yeah. If you would identify yourself, and we'll see if there's any questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, good evening. My name is Mark Morstein, and I'm here. I don't, to answer any additional questions, I just would like to say just how impressed I have been by all the effort that Mr. Nichols has put into this, and just the courtesy and so forth. These are 4 large lot. It's a large lot subdivision, considerably larger than the minimum size. We've tried to do that to try to kind of keep the rural character, keep the size of the lots consistent with the area around. And I've owned the property for almost 40 years, and I've always loved the property, and I've always loved the area. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, that brings us to any public comment on this case. If you would come and identify yourself.
I'm Phil Hawkins. My concern is, and I have some other notes that I will address later in the public hearing, but this is a subdivision. I've noticed other subdivisions have been given, excuse me for the pollen, has been given, I call it a plan to fail. What is the county's agreement in lieu of erosion and sediment control plan. You're planning to fail. That is a subdivision. It should not get agreement in lieu when you start to do construction. That is a subdivision, E&S specifications has to go as a subdivision. The total disturbance of all 4 lots have to be included in the disturbance area, which will require a stormwater management plan. Now, when you don't do stormwater management plan, you say, well, I'm gonna do a lot 2 years from now, I'm gonna do another lot. Well, guess what? You have compromised your runoff. You have cleared and you accelerated your runoff rate. That's why you do a stormwater management plan, and that's why it does not, should not be approved as agreement in lieu, which is a plan to fail. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further public comment on this case? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, fellow members of the Planning Commission. My name is Ben Tissue, and I would like to address my friend and associate, Mark Morstein's application for subdivision this evening. I speak from a professional standpoint, having over 40 years of land development and experience in multiple jurisdictions. My professional license, education, knowledge, and experience have been utilized by my clients and employers in securing entitlements for various projects over the course of time. With that said, I would like to state that Mr. Morstein has, in my opinion, earned the right to subdivide his property. This is based on the fact that he has owned the property for 30-odd years, paid his real estate taxes and each year, and like every individual that has purchased land or a home, hopes to benefit by the increased value over time as an investment. Mr. Morstein has elected to subdivide his property by right into 3 lots, plus the residue to help increase his investment. He has not elected to maximize the number of divisions he could over time. By limiting his divisions, he has preserved the rural character of the surrounding area with larger lots, 3 of them of 7.5 acres and 1 of 5.6 acres, and not the minimum required lot size of 3 acres, which could possibly yield anywhere from 8 to 9 lots over time. To illustrate an extreme example of a truly dense project, similar in size of Mr. Morstein's property in Loudoun County, it's one of those things up there that the design team I was involved in, we were successful in getting 425 units approved on 20 acres of agricultural zone land, just to give you some idea what things have come up there. Based upon these facts, I hope this board and the commissioners will see that Mr. Morstein has truly gone out of his way to develop and subdivide his property as a good steward of the land in this county, and hopefully you will approve his application. Thank you for your time. One other note, as far as stormwater management, that will be addressed when those particular houses will be built. That is what the county has to do in reviewing those particular house building plans.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any further public comment on this case? Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm a neighbor of Mr. Morstein's, the southern property that actually abuts all 4 zones. My name's Keith Urbon, founder of River Run Orchards, and Mr. Morstein was kind enough to let me take a look at the siting today. I think it is appropriate where the houses are sited, for the setbacks. There's a good amount of forest between these 4 lots and my property. So as a neighbor, I love the rural character, just like everyone has said, of the properties all around here. And but I'm supportive because I think this is a modest and appropriate use of subdivision in our neighborhood. So just wanted to say that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further public comment on this case? Any further public comment? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Yes.
Was the road maintenance agreement was that covered on this? I remember we talked about it. Was there any other questions about that we needed to get
I don't
sorted
know
out?
of any lingering questions about the road maintenance agreement. As we prepare, assuming that the application is approved by the Board of Supervisors, as soon as we have the approval from VDOT VDH for the drain fields, we're going to review that as well as the road maintenance agreement. I think the ordinance says it's got to be filed within 30 days. I'll check on that timing. It's going to meet the requirements of the ordinance. It meets the requirements of the ordinance as it is now.
So on the recommendation, would that need to be added?
I don't think so. It's part of the ordinance. We're going to execute it that way.
Okay, but we do need to mention the health department.
I think that would be wise.
Yes, okay.
And you could approve it conditioned on that approval and
Yeah.
the fully executing the road maintenance agreement.
I have a question, Steve. So when each one of these lots are sold and they go to be developed, I know they're gonna be disturbing more than an acre of ground, so they'll all have to be done by DDQ, correct?
If they
Or
just,
culpable soil erosion.
yes, our ENS administrator will submit all plans to Culpeper Soil and Water for comments. And any disturbance that is over 1 acre will be required to have a general construction permit from DEQ, yes.
Okay. Any further questions, any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that case number SD-02-25-1 be recommended to the Board of Supervisors for approval with the Health Department approval and approval of a road maintenance agreement.
Okay. Motion's been made. Is there a second? All right, motion has been made and seconded to recommend for approval with the condition of the Health Department approval and road maintenance completion. Any further discussion? Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second, okay. Any further discussion at all? All right. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. So case number SD-02-25-1 will be recommended to the Board of Supervisors for approval with the condition that the Health Department approval be obtained and that the road maintenance agreement be completed. Next case is case number RZ-02-25-1, Jonathan Nichols, rezoning application. Jonathan Nichols has applied to rezone a 5.532 acre portion of a parcel known as Madison County Tax Map 44-3. Total acreage is 77.112 from C1 Conservation to A1 Agricultural. If rezoning is approved, the applicant intends to subdivide the property. All right, anything to add, Mr. Nichols?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've spent a lot of time looking at this case, and because we do want to take the upzoning from C1 to A1 seriously as we look at these issues. And as I've looked at the comprehensive plan and the goals that are in place, I do believe that by rezoning this portion of the property to A1, it allows the creation of a lot that is just, simply exist within the natural boundaries that are there. You have existing boundaries of the neighboring parcels. You have Kinderhook Road to the south, and then you have the easement to the west that creates a logical barrier for a new parcel to be created. If we left it C1, the applicant could still build a house by right, but he would have to separate off 10 acres if he wanted to sell it. So you're going to end up with another portion off to one side of the easement or to the south side of Kinderhook Road over in the floodplain area. It's logical that somebody may not qualify for land use that would have that and fence it off for their own purposes rather than continuing for those areas to exist for pasture or for hay production, whatever the case may be. So I think in this case, we're actually maximizing the amount of land that's actually used for agriculture by rezoning this portion by allowing a smaller area to be subdivided off ultimately. So I think that it's in line with our goals of the comprehensive plan.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Nichols?
I don't have a question, Mr. Chairman, but I do have a comment, I believe. A lot of this land was zoned C1 because of the topography of the land. And if this doesn't get approved on 10 acres, he can still build his house. So we're not stopping this gentleman from building his house. I think we need to be real careful how we set a precedence of taking this mountain land and zoning it different than what it is now. I mean, when they looked at it, that's why it got zoned this way. So I think we should think about that before we rezone this.
Any other comment or question for Mr. Nichols?
I've got a comment. Mr. Nichols, is there a way you can bring up a certain tax map for us on GIS?
What would you like to see, Mr. Schneider?
45-4A,
All right, give me just a moment, please.
which is basically on the other side of the mountain from this. It's basically right off of Garth Run. I'm trying to make a point here.
Okay.
When we're looking at this 5 acres here, it's basically a little chunk, kind of off the side of where this, so that little area right there, that 22 acres is A1. Inside of all that around that is C1. If you want to put the layers on, you can see how that has been carved out. There you go. And that's basically just on the other side of where, on the other side of the ridge from where this property is. So it's not like this hasn't been done. One of the things I'd like to say about it is this particular 5 acres is right off of Kinderhook, and it's not off of a side road, where this is not off the main road. I have the opinion that this particular 5 acres is on the main road and would suit better than, like, particularly this other 22 acres, if you look on the other side, is. Also, when you look across the street, it's all A1. I think the gentleman could have gone with 6 acres and had 2 uses, and he went with 5 acres and only could get 1 use out of it. I'd like to make that point out of it as well. So.
Thank you, Mike. Is it possible to put the topo layer on the one that Mike was talking about so we can kind of compare the topography too?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's on.
I also would like to
It'll
comment
load.
that I did go down and take a look at the property myself today.
These are the 20-foot layers.
I thought that as you go behind this 5 acres that we're talking about, it was quite a distance before you got into some slope. That's the way I saw it. This is sitting on kind of a knoll. I personally didn't think it was gonna be a big deal, and that's how I perceived this. But you can see here, this is cut out of all this big C1 area.
Along Graves Mill, there's also other examples of split-zoned properties where the A1, C1 goes along there as well.
But if he'd tried to go with 6 acres here, he probably couldn't have still built 1 house because it would have got into the floodplain.
That's probably fair.
Okay, any other comment or question on this? Would the applicant like to address?
Jonathan Nichols. I don't really have anything else to add. I don't think anybody else could build 2 homes here. So I guess they could on stilts if they want, but other than that, I just really appreciate you guys' time and what y'all do to keep Madison the way it is. That's why I moved here. I moved in Leesburg in 1981. It wasn't cool to live there then. It was like Madison, and it's turned into a lot. My friends and family owned half of Ashburn and Lansdowne, and, well, we see what happened to that. So that's not what I want to do here. It's just this little 5 acres of, you know what I mean? It's just, you see it, it's kind of cut off. And so we're just trying to do natural lines here, which it kind of lays in the land like that. So that's all I have. I just appreciate your guys' time.
Thank you. Anyone have any question for Mr. Nichols? It was my understanding from the earlier workshops that basically there's probably 1 home site usable on this 5 acres, and that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you have plans probably for a family member to.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yes.
So now that I've actually seen the property, where would a particular driveway go up to that top where the house site
I
would
would
be?
put it in the back. There's actually already a path there that's been used for, I don't know how long.
Is that where I saw that walkway?
No, the bridge?
Correct.
No, it's down the back hill.
Okay.
And so that it would actually, if you come up that hill, it'd be a nice slope. I wouldn't come directly up the hill. I would, you know what I mean, come across that and go gradually up it, just so it kind of turns nicely up there.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if I can. Well, it's, so, so like right here, there's a pretty big slope. So what I would do is bring that driveway up, like it's, you saw how that slope is? Go on the side of that hill and go up to the top. Because if you get around the back of that thing, it's not near as steep. I mean, the 3 driveways down is like, tie a rope to the bumper.
Yeah.
Hope you make it up in the winter.
So you kind of expand on that for us, if you would. You'll be planning to come off of Kinderhook still,
Oh, there's an entrance already there.
but the entrance is already there.
Yes.
Is this is an easement that goes up to an adjoining property? Is that the same?
No,
entrance?
that easement's
That's
not
a-
in this.
that's a separate
I didn't
okay.
include that intentionally in this.
Okay, so there's an entrance already there on Kinderhook?
Yes,
that would
sir.
go up there. Okay,
Yes,
thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? I guess not. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any public comment on this case? Yes, sir, if you would. And identify yourself and give us your comments.
Good evening. My name is Scott Benning, married to Cheryl Taylor Benning, who was born and raised in that area her entire life until we left to go serve in the Navy for about 40 years and moved back. And so my concern about this is precedents that we're setting about converting land so easily and then giving people to come behind him. He's got a great site there. He's going to build a house there, and I have no doubt, and it's going to be a great place for a house. And but I'm concerned about the people that are moving into that area. We just had another gentleman about 3 years ago buy about 90 acres of land on the side of that mountain, and we're giving him an opportunity to convert conservation land to agricultural land and subdivide and develop that stuff based on the fact that you're creating a history of what you're doing to Madison County. And so I would just caution how much we convert what has been conservation land for so many years. We moved back here, bought her grandmother's house, and thought we were going to build a house in the field across our driveway, and we learned it was conservation land and would take 10 acres that we didn't have to be able to do that, and made the decision instead to restore the historic home that we have. Turned out to be a good move, all right? Mr. Nichols now has property on both sides of Kinderhook, so that argument, that's a nice little lot. His property exceeds both those sides of Kinderhook Road. There's nothing to say that he can't expand that property line down across Kinderhook or across the driveway, which he calls unusable land. If it's unusable land, why is it a big deal to make it 10 acres? It might be a nice little notched out lot, but you look at any of those properties and you show me anything that looks like a perfect little notched out piece of property in Madison County. It's not like that. It's cut up in many different ways. And so I don't see what the big deal is about designating a 10-acre lot to continue to make that conservation land, to establish the fact that we're not going to just convert everything that we have in conservation land into agricultural land so that people have opportunities to build more in that area. Many of you have been down there. You've seen what it's like down there. It's an absolutely beautiful area. It's stunning. And so there will be people that want to come in and do exactly that. And my argument is that if you do this for this one household, you're going to open up the door for many more to come behind them. So I appreciate you hearing my concern. Obviously, we respect whatever you decide. You might not like it, but the reality of it is I'd ask you to think about the future of Madison County. This county has been known for being the rural county it is for many years. I see a little bit of a walk that we're going a different direction now, and that's a concern. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment on this case? All right, thank you. Any further discussion from the Planning Commission? All right, if not, can we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman? I'd like to make a motion that case number RZ-02-25-1 be recommended for approval to the Board of Supervisors.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so we're showing 2 opposed and 3 for approval. So that would be Pete and James opposed, okay. All right, that being the case, 3-2, we will recommend case number RZ-02-25-1 for approval to the Board of Supervisors. Last case is simpler. Case number 2024-ZOA-12-18-02, the adoption of a personal campground definition. The adoption of a definition for a personal campground is being proposed to allow for by right recreation on private property, but regulate the use of recreational vehicles or RVs and tents to prevent their use as permanent residences. Anything to add there, Mr. Nichols?
No, Mr. Chairman, after much discussion and 4 workshops, I think we got this one nailed down.
Okay. Does anyone have a question for Mr. Nichols on this? All right. Any public comment on the personal campground definition? Any public comment? All right. Any discussion from the Planning Commission? Comments or discussion? All right. If not, can we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that case number 2024-ZOA-12-18-02 be recommended to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so the Planning Commission will recommend case number 2024-ZOA-12-18-02, adoption of a personal campground definition for approval to the Board of Supervisors. All right, Mr. Nichols, do we have any other items? See, you have the joint workshop for finalizing the comprehensive plan. Do you want to mention that?
Only if there's further items to discuss.
Okay. Any further items that anyone wants to bring up about the revised comprehensive plan? Okay. I see we have a note about an upcoming PC workshop.
We do. We have April workshop coming up. This will be our first, we'll call it a limited packet workshop. The iPads and the one laptop have arrived. IT is currently setting them up to be custom to our application, so they'll have the Adobe Reader on it and be set up with the shortcuts to all of the items that we use in deliberation. We'll have IT support at the next workshop as we implement the devices, so everyone should have all the support that they need. And of course, we're going to limit our use of paper going forward. Tonight's packet's 130 pages. That's enough. We do have let's say we've got the one case that'll be the second workshop, which is Mr. Bond. I'll probably end up sending you guys information a little bit early on that case. I know that the information that we had at the first workshop was limited, so I'll try to get you that information sooner so you have more time to consider it. We also have 3 cases from the Preliminary Development and Review Committee that will come forward for a first workshop. I'll have more information on that at that time. But that's all for now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. One last time, any further public comment, again, on any topic? or any of the cases? All right, thank you for your attention. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Good enough. All right. I'd like to call the Board of Supervisors portion of this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We do need to adopt an agenda. The only just clarification is we do have a closed session tonight. Anybody else have anything to add to the agenda this evening? What would y'all like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. As always, general public comment. Is there any general public comment? Nah, still one. All right. Going right into it. Case number SU-02-25-1, Two Rivers Special Use Permit Application. Carrie Gavaria has applied for a special use permit to operate a primitive campground on a 48.347 acre parcel known as Madison County Tax Map 40-95A. The parcel is zoned A1 agriculture. The parcel currently contains a residence that is being utilized as a short-term rental and campsites that meet the definition of Madison zoning ordinance, Article 20-31. Mr. Nichols, anything to add?
Nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Mr. Nichols? All right, go ahead.
Now, I was just going to comment, sitting here looking at these cases, I mean, cases A, B, and C not only fit our comp plan, but they fit in with our recently adopted economic development plan as well. I think these are all good, good projects.
Agree. All right, to the applicant. Mr. Gavaria, anything to add? No Riker? Questions ready for him? That makes sense. All right, any questions for the applicant?
I mean, I heard a concern about gun range. Do we shooting guns? I didn't think so. Do we have like a, when you talk to the people that come into camp, is there like a quiet time after 10 or something like that? Is that what you're doing?
No, but I will live there in a month. So if it's a problem, I'll address it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant?
No, sir.
All right, to the public. Any public comment on this case specifically? All right, back to the board. What would y'all like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number SU-02-25-1 as recommended by the Planning Commission.
And second.
All right, motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Case number SU-02-25-2, Black Cat Antique Special Use Permit Application. Carrie Angie Brown has applied for a special use permit to operate an antique craft and gift shop in accordance with Madison County Zoning Ordinance 3-2-5 and an auction establishment in accordance with Madison Zoning Ordinance 4-2-23 for a 36.77 acre parcel known as Madison County Tax Map 45-21. The parcel is zoned A1 agriculture. Mr. Nichols, anything to add?
No, Mr. Chairman.
And the only recommendation from the Planning Commission was the only online auctions, correct?
Correct. The concern was that a live auction their entrance would not be supportive of it, and there was insufficient parking. The applicants did not seem interested in live auctions anyway, so we simply, in our conditions, stated, let me make sure I get it right. I think it says that the pickup will be scheduled over a designated period to ensure smooth and manageable traffic flow. So yes.
Yes, sir.
That's all we got.
Any questions for Mr. Nichols on this application?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Brown, anything to add? No, ma'am. Any questions for Ms. Brown?
No, sir.
All right, to the public. To the public. All right, back to the board. What would you all like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number SU-02-25-2 as presented by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, case number RZ-02-25-2, AC Limited Partnership rezoning application. Kerry Brown has applied on behalf of AC Limited Partnership to rezone 2.136 acre parcel known as Madison County Tax Map 55-38B from A1 to B1 business. No project is currently planned for this parcel. Mr. Nichols?
This is definitely in line with the Highway 29 corridor study and our comp plan. I think it's a good idea.
Yep. Questions from Mr. Nichols? Ms. Brown, do you have anything to add online?
No, I don't.
Any questions from Ms. Brown? All right, to the public. Any public comment on this case? All right, back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend for approval the case number RZ-02-25-2, rezoning application to be approved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Case number SD-02-25-1, subdivision of Madison County Tax Map 42-33. Walter Samsel has applied on behalf of Mark A. Morstein to subdivide the parcel identified as Madison County Tax Map 42-33. The parcel is currently 28.5947 acres and is proposed to be divided to create 3 new parcels plus the residue. Mr. Nichols, anything?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from Mr. Nichols? Mr. Morstein, anything to add? That's a beautiful piece of property, by the way. All right, any questions from Mr. Morstein?
No, sir.
To the public. To the public. All right, back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number SD-02-25-1 as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Case number RZ-02-25-1, Jonathan Nichols rezoning application. Jonathan Nichols has applied to rezone 5.532 acre portion of the parcel known as Madison County Tax Map 44-3. Total acreage is 77.112 per survey. From C1 Conservation to A1 Agriculture. If rezoning is approved, the applicant intends to subdivide the property. Mr. Nichols?
Sorry for giving you some word salad there.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those rare cases where upzoning actually conserves the land. In this case, wrote a pretty extensive opinion on it. I think it serves the interests and the goals that we've described in our comp plan.
Any questions for Mr. Nichols on this case? All right, Mr. Nichols, the other Mr. Nichols, anything to add? All right, any questions for Mr. Nichols? All right, to the public. Yes, sir, please.
Scott Benning again, and thank you for everybody for what you're doing here. And only to reiterate what I said earlier, to be on the record for this portion of the meeting, I hope you understand.
Yes,
And that is the point that I'm concerned about the precedent. This is not a business. This is not something that's being for the economic development of the county. This is something that could be very easily resolved by taking it and turning it into a 10-acre plot instead of making a decision of converting this into agriculture land. I understand Mr. Nichols' point about it looks like a nice little corner of piece of property right there. But Mr. Nichols himself has property that borders on all areas of those same zones. To say that it's going to save agricultural land, he's going to farm that land anyway, or he doesn't farm it currently. But so the reality of it is that we're setting a precedence here for other people to come into the valley that has a long history with Taylors and Breedens in that area and now enabling other people to make the argument, well, you did it for him. And so I would just caution, and of course, I'll respect whatever decision you make, and we'll go forward and be grateful that he gets to build a house there. He's going to do it either way, and just be grateful that hopefully he'll do it with a permit and everything else. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? All right, back to the board. What would you all like to do?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just have one comment on this. By right use is by right use, but I really am leery of rezoning unless there is a real compelling reason in the long-term interest of the landowner and the county. And my concern here is that I agree, I think we could be looking at a precedence. The other issue is that even if we do not rezone, Mr. Nichols will still be able to build on the property. We're not denying him that. So I think this is something that I would have difficulty agreeing with, but that's just my opinion, sir.
Other comments, thoughts? I think the precedent's already set. I can think of multiple different times, and Mr. Snyder even identified the A1 that was cut out of the C1. We've done this many times. Just based, the C1 designation based on the topography of the property was put on it, kind of with best intentions in what, 68 or early 70s. I think with this piece of property, just the way that it lays and the way that it looks on the maps, using Kinderhook as a natural boundary in the driveway that's to the left of the property, I mean, it just kind of makes sense. I mean, expanding it out into that field across the driveway doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and then expanding it and making some kind of weird little lot or a weird little lot that's conjoined with the acreage that is proposed down in the floodplain seems to be cutting up the land even more. This is one that I just think that it makes natural sense to go ahead and cut that one off. Understand rural traditions and the way that we all appreciate and everything. This is just kind of I think the precedent's been made already, and it even was shown earlier. What would y'all like to do? Or comments?
My and I don't totally disagree with you, but my question would be, how do we prevent it in the future? Like you say this circumstance, and I'm not against it. I'm just asking the question. Like I'm listening to your comments, and you say, well, this one really works this way, but you're also saying we've already done this. I want your opinion.
No. I mean, think of the other C1 parcel up on Leathers.
Okay.
That we subdivided and allowed 3 lots on.
Okay.
And the acreage requirements, we didn't rezone that piece, did we? They were cut all into 10-acre lots, weren't they?
Yes.
That was about right.
Yeah, the one up on the side of the hill. Yeah, that's one. Was it?
They were 3-acre lots.
And that land is steep as I've walked that land, and anybody that sees me walk, good gosh. Topography is miserable. It's like walking up one of these chairs. I don't see how there's any difference. I really don't. Was it A1? Thank you. I apologize for characterizing it the same as the C1, but the topography is extreme. And if that is A1, what are we doing here? That is straight up and down.
Well, I am not crazy to see it all cut up, but by right is, I don't know how I turn this down. So case number RZ-02-25-1, I recommend it for approval as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right. Here we go. Thank you. Case number 2024-ZOA-12-18-02. Adoption of a personal campground definition. The adoption of a definition for a personal campground is being proposed to allow for by right recreation on private property, but regulate the use of recreational vehicles and tents to prevent their use as permanent residence. Mr. Nichols, please.
I think we've killed this horse.
We have. We're going to talk about it, though. Questions from Mr. Nichols on this case?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Now, I haven't looked at this in depth, but this applies only to folks that would not be current residents of the property, correct? Now, what I'm getting at is, let's suppose I got kicked out of my house and I had to live on my farm and I wanted to live in a tent. Does that preclude that?
You can do it for 30 days.
Okay, so I could have 1,000 acres and I can't put a tent in the middle of it and live in it if I wish to do so.
Cannot do it as a permanent residence. The building code precludes it. Mr. Wilkes and I have gone back and forth with this because while my personal opinions are very loose in this regard, that you do what you want, our ordinance is not written so, and neither is the Virginia Building Code. So no, we would not be permitted to live in an RV or a tent or anything else as a permanent residence. It is what it is.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
I don't think you'd fare well under canvas.
Yeah, but I might not have a choice.
Yeah, well, that's true, too. Other comments, please.
So if Jim moves out on the 29th day for 2 days, moves back in, he could do that?
How far in the gray do you want to go?
Well, here, my issue is this a big issue in our county? Do we have many people?
All right, so here is how this came to be. We had a gentleman who had, maybe I'm wrong, but let's say 40 acres. He was installing 4 rather expensive pads for his RVs. He's got site work done, he's got grading, he's got, a septic system installed just for this, a building, electricals in there, all the things, right? And the way that our ordinance was written, he would have to follow the provisions for a commercial campground to do that. The purpose of this is to allow you to improve campsites on your property, and as long as you're not doing it for compensation, you're not subject to the camper camps and primitive campground requirements that we do when you're running a business. So this preserves your right to recreate on your property while giving us enforcement tools for people who are living in their RV. It's getting the distinction there between recreation and, commercial activity or.
I get that, but I like by right, and when I've camped on my property for 20-some years, and I never went to the county health department to set up a sanitation, like I was out camping for 3 or 4 days with all my buddies and friends. And we dug our own pits and covered them up when we were left. And I just don't want, like your personal property, having the county health department coming over when you're camping for the weekend, saying you gotta have sanitation. Is that what's gonna happen?
That's not that's not what's gonna happen, but.
Could it happen?
I think it's unlikely. The health department, their codes developed by the state already require a permit for personal or commercial use if you have 3 or more sites, whether it's for your own enjoyment or not. That's beyond our control, even though it seems excessive. But I'm, to be honest, if you have thoughts, more than happy to take it back to the drawing board.
I mean, I don't want to create more work. I just don't think it's a big issue in our county.
I don't think it's more work if the board sees that it's not necessary, or if something is wrong or not in line with our values. I'd take no offense to that.
I'll leave it up. I mean, I know how, I'm not happy about it, so I don't agree with it, but that doesn't mean it's not prudent for our county.
I'm not happy either because I can't live in a tent if I need.
Well.
I'm thinking of workaround. So I'll live in my tent for 30 days, and then I'll pick it up and I'll move to my neighbor for a day.
There you go.
And then I'll come back and I'll live another 30 days. I'm just,
Right.
just thinking of these devious ways around.
And then
your
think
work.
about the case that's coming and how you
But
answer
I
this
agree with you,
question.
Jared. I think this is a little bit-
Right,
this is
so-
actually-
We just have more we have enough rules and regulations in the county, as I'm trying to find information on this, and scroll. I mean, I don't see why you're gonna mess with people's personal property that way.
So I'm 100% sympathetic with where you're coming from on this. And the intention of this, and you know, what they say about the roads, certain roads that are created with good intentions, but was that this man, because of our ordinance that says if it's not specifically allowed, it's prohibited. And so the impetus for this was to say, let's try to have an expansive view of personal campground to make sure this is a by right use, so that every one of these things isn't coming forward to the Plan Commission and to the board for approval to get special use permits or the like. So the intent was to open up more rights than what are currently allowed. But yeah, maybe we created a bigger problem by doing it. But, you know, it's sort of an English common law system where we're not going to be able to fix every problem. We're just going to do the best we can, and as they come up, then we'll adjust as we have to. But we do have issues with people living on site in campers or whatever in the county and tents, and we are trying to enforce that. But if Mr. Jewett gets kicked out of his house and then is,
I won't say by whom.
but that would normally come up, you know, the way it would fall on our radar is if it's a neighbor usually that's complaining about it, because he's doing something that's dangerous or unsanitary or unsightly, and then we investigate, react accordingly. But that's the context I'll give you on this one.
I'd like to chime in. Might as well hear from the whole panel, right? When this first came up, it is important to reference the PDRC meeting, because when I learned of this, what you want to make sure is that, and this individual in this case, great person, really trying to do all the things and so forth, but, you know, the only real things we look at campgrounds or short-term rentals, that's different, that's paid. You have an individual, you know, 4 RV sites with electric on, it's like, well, how do we disseminate truly if someone's doing it personally or are they doing it for fee? Certainly, I hear all comments made. Really, it's up to your decision if you want to add regulation or not. I think Supervisor Yao, who's not here tonight, I believe, he can correct me on the record later. I believe it said, why do you need to be here before the PDRC to do what you're looking to do, which I think was hunting and things like that on the property. So it is a private right. I understand the questions of that. Just wanted to give you a little origin behind it. I don't think anybody's trying to stop necessarily a recreational activity such as camping, whether it's tent or RV or whatever you're doing. It's disseminating between a larger scale operation such as these RV pad sites that may be personal, indoor, not trying to give people a reason to live in tents.
Not to interrupt, but I mean, I don't think, I mean, he came and did the right thing. He's setting 4 pads up for privacy, for his private use. I think if he's going to start charging for that, you'd see that on Hip Camp, Airbnb, and I know that's being monitored by the county, which is great. We want to collect that revenue if we have it. So I don't think that's a big issue. You know, he's doing the right thing. I have more of an issue of somebody has a dream of living in the country and Madison's the place to go, and they buy 60 acres, and they want to come out here one weekend a month, and they put up a little camper to do that. And are they going to be penalized for that? You know, they're not living in it, but they're coming out on the weekends.
If I may chime in, I think that the purpose of this is so that when somebody does come out to their property and a neighbor calls and complains because they're out there with their buddies for their hunting weekend or whatever, and they call me and complain about it, I can say, well, they're out there because they have a right to be. This is their personal campground. And this allows me, because right now, it's not a permitted use in our by right listed uses. And this allows me, when somebody calls in the administration of the ordinance, that this is allowed. Here it is. If you're not exceeding these, that's a pretty, wide provisions here, and you're not charging for it, we're not issuing permits, go do it.
The neighbor says, I see an outhouse out there. Has that been approved by the health department? Who would've
Well-
thought that? I never would've guessed that. I learned that this week. You need a permit for a outhouse. You know, so anyway, I just think that you're stepping
That's not
on
one we can
personal
control.
property rights.
The only,
Go ahead.
the only one that goes with this is, nobody's trying to infringe upon Jim's gypsy ways. But also, we've got this as a definition. It's not set up as an ordinance. We know they act in similar fashions. But all this does is add clarity to make sure that when people do call and complain, they will be, no, we've been down this path, we see it as a personal property right, and then in addition to that, we added it as a definition just to add clarity to it. We're not trying to restrict, but and like Alan and the whole panel down here has stated, you can't live in an RV permanently. I think you can for, is it 6 months with an extension, if you're in construction?
You can apply for a permit for temporary occupancy for building your home, medical help, those kind of things.
So that's the only one. If you don't want to shoot this thing down and leave it alone, that's fine. I do think it is in front of us, and it does enable and adds clarity so that there aren't a whole lot of
Well,
restrictions.
there's a lot of restrictions, though. There's no camper travel trailer can be placed within 25 feet, or 25 feet in width, or within 12 feet of another one. There's a lot of things.
That's
What-
fire issues. I mean, you're gonna jump from one to the next if one catches fire.
Exactly, if it's a commercial property, I understand it, but if you're an idiot and parking next to each other on your private land,
What,
I've seen people do crazier on their private land, and that's fine, it's their
well,
land. But here's,
let's go down,
here's
please
my
go ahead,
point.
please.
This man was not able to do it. We went through the process to try to get him a way to do it. So if there's an amendment we need to make to it, that's fine. But I want this man to be able to do this on his property. He can't do it right now because we don't have anything that allows him to.
What about to make it so that there's not so many rules going with it? What about
Sure.
stripping a bunch of those
Sure.
rules? Get rid of the 1,000 square foot, boy, this is a wrench into your whole plans. And we can go through and strip some of it, do the 25 feet, let them deal with whatever safety issues they've got. Get rid of the 1,000 square feet area, and then strip the line down below it, closer than 12 feet to another camper. And then you could get rid of, I think that 3 or more campsites require a campground permit.
According to, I think
That's according to the health department already, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way those things came to be was that they were just in line with the commercial campground ordinance. So if we caught somebody charging for it, it was easier to get them a special use permit.
so if I have personal property and I have a Memorial Day party or, stargazing party, and I have 8 people coming out in tents, I have to get an SUP or a health department to pass that?
I think that sounds like an event that we
That's seasonal
permit
and
15 times a year.
17 of those a year. We've already allowed that.
But I'm,
Make a motion.
Make an amendment, I mean, like
no,
I
I
said.
don't
if
scratch
he's
this
got
all
a-
up. You guys did a lot of work, so you go ahead and vote on it and.
No.
Pass it, pass it.
No, that's part of it.
What?
We can change it.
Well, that's what we are.
The numbers really come into place with pad sites. It's not so much number of guests or number of tents or anything like that.
Okay.
It's RV vehicle sites.
All right.
How do we amend it?
So if you've got to leave the last one. But what about if we strip out everything from health department down? The maximum 2 recreational pad sites with hookups, get rid of that. That's already regulated. Heck, you could I think you could get rid of pretty much everything until the last line. 3 or more.
So you're saying from the sentence, a maximum of 2 recreational vehicles, all the
Yes,
way
sir.
down
Yes,
to
sir.
where travel
That's
trailer
correct.
period?
That's correct.
Okay.
Is that,
Eliminating that.
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Is that more palatable, or is it still unacceptable? If it is, that's fine too. No big deal. I do think the comment to add clarity to it, that if it's not specifically allowed, then it's not allowed, I think that does play into it, and that we could be going back down this path. Stripping out all that stuff, I think, is actually really, really good. I'm glad we had this conversation. No, why not? Good look. Yeah, we could have gone down a lot of worse paths tonight. Good gosh, this is about the best thing we could do. And it's fairly entertaining. And we learned about Jim.
Well, and then I'm concerned, can I have a special friend put up a tent beside mine? And of course, it becomes a shooting range and it's all over. You don't have to worry about it after that.
And now it can be closer than 12 feet.
Your administrator will not be knocking on the door to find out.
There you go.
I mean, that's fine with me.
What would y'all like to do with with the original or the amended definition?
Move to approve the
Chairman,
amendment.
a point of clarity from the attorney.
Do you think we need to re-advertise?
I do.
That's
think
fine.
it-
Substantial changes.
Yep.
That's fine.
But I think, sorry, I think
No.
you're about to do it, so.
What about if we table this? That's not the right way to do it. Tabling it is not the right way to do it. What would you like to, what is the right term? Dan? That's a bad.
So we've amended it. I think,
Yeah, let's send it back to the zoning administrator and legal team with an amended direction and have them bring this back to us.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion?
With apologies.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's up first.
None required. We're good.
All right, motion's made, seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Gentlemen, the only one that's not on here, but I'll ask real quick. Everybody good on the comp plan as presented at this point?
Mm-hmm.
All right, there you go, very good. Any information and correspondence? Meeting again tomorrow, it's gonna be fun. Public comment? Yes, sir, please.
You take public comments on any?
Sure, of course.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm Phil Hawkins. Hadn't changed in the last hour. I've had concerns. I've been watching, and E&S is one of my pet peeves. Not pet peeves, but one of my concerns. We at the top of the mountain. We lucky they don't run down on us. We send all ours downstream. And I promised Mr. Weekly back in February, I think it was, that he needed some help. He don't have enough help to keep the erosion and sediment control in compliance. And what I'm basing this on, and I want, it was a project that was started in September of 2022. In 2023 of August, I had watched sediment run out in the road, mud tracked out in the road, and no stabilization, no seed and mulch applied to this project. When I talked to E&S here in the county, asking why it wasn't stormwater management plan for that, as I mentioned earlier, it is a subdivision. By E&S, if it is a subdivision, it goes under, you have to take the cumulative disturbance area of all the lots to come up. You come up with a stormwater management plan. So he said, no, we, which Mr. Weekly and the lady here before was very corporate with giving me information. The previous planning county planner okayed to do agreement in lieu in a subdivision. That's not what E&S says. E&S says if it's a subdivision, you have to have a plan. He based his decision on, I call it developer owner, hired a consultant who hired an engineer to write a letter saying it's logic not to have a stormwater management plan because we didn't know how rapidly they was gonna build the lots. Well, I know 4 lots was being built at the same time. after that, I went on another month or two, then I talked with Mr. Weekly, and he said, well, there's some concern over the common road going into the subdivision, that it may exceed an acre, which would require a stormwater management plan. Measurements were taken, came back that approximate measurements of this road is 42,000 squares. 43,560 is an acre. It's like basically the size of this room from requiring a stormwater management plan, which I do know because I rode down in there. There was areas of disturbance where brush and stuff were pushed out of the roadway, which should have been included in the area of disturbance. So from there, I just said, okay, that's fine. Maybe something will be done, maybe something won't. So in that same year of 2023, 3 lots were cleared. Well, if you clear a lot, you've disturbed the land. Well, those lots sat dormant until the spring of 24. I can't say they didn't put seed on them, but they wasn't mulched. And it may not have been seed. Well, ENS says it's 2 tons of mulch per acre in the winter months. So that wasn't done. So let's see here. So then I rode the site, and I won't tell you everything that I saw wrong. There's no stable, the site's, and this was in February. The site was started in 2022. It's not stabilized. When I called in September 23, I said, you are in the seeding season. Now is the time to stabilize. Go stabilize. It's not stabilized. You can ride down the main road and look off. It's not stabilized. So that's still a concern. But culverts installed, no inlet protection. When the culvert just was installed, no inlet protection. Sediment in the woods. Your ENS narratives tell you how to build a road. It's got to have a cross slope. It's got to have drainage. Water standing in the road. So agreement in lieu, as I stated to you before, is a plan to fail. That's all it is a plan to fail. I don't know who's looking at this or who is watching it. So when I came back and talked to Mr. Weekly in February, stating, hey, I don't see any improvement. Nothing's changed. And I give some information that I would like to have. And I asked for how many agreement in lieus were issued in 23, 24, and 25. How many inspections were made on those sites by the county or by the RLD who's responsible for the site? How many of these sites ran over a year where you had to renew the RLDs? Same thing with land of service and same thing with site plans. Well, I was told due to the Information Act that I could get that information. So a couple of days later, I get an email. If I want that information, I got to pay $26 to $27 an hour. It would take as much as 10 hours possibly to get that information. Knowing the county is strapped for money, I didn't want them to have to go and hire somebody for 10 hours worth of work. So as we corresponded then, I told Mr. Weekly, hey, I'd be glad to work with his ENS man, help him any way I could. He called me, we had a conversation, I said, man, we're on the right track, we'll get something done. So I emailed back and withdrew my request for the information. Because I figured if this guy, or ENS, the ENS inspector or program, if he doesn't know how many inspections he's making, then evidently he ain't making inspections. So it's obvious to me nothing is being done. And I reckon I put this off every time I look, I put it off, but today is kind of sort of broke the camel's back. Just from my house to here, one site is partially seeded and mulched, silt fence down, people living there. Next site, house was built back last fall, people living there, they cut a driveway in past that. It's been denuded since last October. What, they started back working there yesterday. Today, they're hauling dirt material in on that site, and they're tracking dirt out in the road and mud. If we get rain tonight, it's gonna be like ice on the road. I don't understand what's going on with it. So when I got to checking with the information that I was given, I pulled out your land disturbance, I'll call it permit, and it says an acre or greater, you have to have stormwater. Disturbed area, you're asking someone to tell you how much area they're gonna disturb. What is the check, where are the checks and balances? I can tell you I'm gonna disturb 10,000 feet to be the minimum and not have to do controls, and I can disturb the acre. Who's checking to see, or the clearing, we call it the clearing limits or disturbance limits, are they being flagged in the field? Are they being identified? So someone goes over and looks, hey, this is 10,000 square feet, this is 20,000 square feet, or is this an acre disturbed? How do you identify that? So, I mean, who's checking on the disturbance area? Someone checking in the field? Who's doing the inspection reports? And the one that really got me was, when you go over in and answer some of my questions I just was alluding to, on your single family, which I don't think my E&S does a single family lot you got in the county, because everything's been subdivided. Once it's subdivided, it's no longer single family. It is subdivided, if I'm interpreting E&S correct. So in your agreement in lieu, it does the same thing. How much area are you gonna disturb? So I'm gonna disturb less than 20,000 square feet, so I can do an agreement in lieu. Does anybody check it that you did disturb that? Then the other thing to me about it, this question me, on your regular land disturbance, you have to notify. There's nothing in here that says you have to notify when you're gonna do disturbance on agreement in lieu. That explains to me why the 3 acres on this one subdivision was disturbed in September, October 2023, and that wasn't nothing done on it until the spring of 24. And it says right in here, E&S controls required shall be installed as first step the construction process and prior to request for footing inspection. So if I don't notify you I'm disturbing ground, I can go and do anything I want, and it may be a year before I dig footings, then you'll come out and check to see if I've got erosion controls in. It doesn't have to happen. It shouldn't be that way. And
Mr. Hawkins, you're at 10 minutes.
Sir?
You're at 10 minutes.
Okay,
What-
I got another 15.
No, you had 3. We've let you go on for 10.
I can't explain a 3-year project in 10 minutes.
Well,
I can sum it up quickly for you.
please sum it up quickly. That's what I'm saying.
Something needs to be done.
Yes, sir.
You can't keep on putting silt in the road. Project right across the road, all the silt fence ain't put up disturbance area. I can show you silt base within a mile of here. The material has been piled up around the silt basin, sediment, stormwater management pond. Material piled around where the water can't get into the pond. What good is it? And back to the subdivision, if you don't identify your disturbed area, just like the 6 lots that are built in this subdivision, when those stormwater managements, you have no pre and no post runoff rates. Hard rain right now, all that water is trying to get through the covers to go downhill on another stream. You disturb this area. So, whether you want to control silt or whether you want to control flood, it's all in the same thing. But something needs to be done. And Mr. Weekly needs help. I don't think he's got but one man. So inspections is every 2 weeks and within 24 hours of a runoff. So if you've got 10 agreement in lieu plans, that's 26 inspections a year on each one of them, every 2 weeks. Do that by 10, that's 260. And if you got a non-compliance, you got to go back and re-inspect again. You get a hard rainfall, you got to do an inspection 24 hours. So I'm asking you, is the number of lots in which you got, will that work Good inspector you got?
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Yeah, thank you.
Other public comment? Other public comment? All right, we do have closed session. Thank you all.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board convene in closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 for personnel.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.